Hey, yo, the bull run might be back on, bro. I think they just clicked that switch to turn the bull run back on. Yo, it's your boy Dre La Soul here with some more crypto news and crypto wisdom for your head top. It's another Crypto Rants episode from Urban Blockchain. So make sure you share, subscribe, like, tell a friend to tell a friend. It's your boy Dre La Soul here to drop some crypto wisdom. But again, NFA, this is not financial advice because I'm not your financial advisor, nor am I your financial fiduciary. In this episode, we're going to talk about two narratives that I believe that you should be jumping into, two narratives that I believe that you should have on your radar, two narratives that I think you should do your research in, which is gaming, crypto gaming, aka GameFi or blockchain gaming, and RWA, real world assets, putting everything in traditional finance on chain. But before we jump into that, let's talk about the Bitcoin price. So right now, Bitcoin's price is hovering over 87,000 and it's continuing to go up. The overall crypto market cap is at 2.85 trillion. Just last week, we're at 2.6 trillion. The Fear and Greed Index is jumping out of the orange and going into the yellow, and we're at a 31 Fear and Greed Index. So the market is looking good. Ethereum is over 2,000 and Solana is about to kiss $150 again. So overall, the market is looking good, right? And that bearish sentiment, that fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the market is oversaturated right now. And I subscribe to the strategy of doing the opposite, learning from one of the greatest investors of all time, which is Warren Buffett. If everyone is saying one thing, do the opposite, right? The market also does the opposite of what everybody thinks, right? When everyone was euphoric back in January, the market crashed. Now everyone is scared and running for the hills. So what's going to happen? The opposite, right? So again, my strategy is to not be in that overcrowded trade or overcrowded sentiment of, bearishness, right? And I believe that we're still in the bull market. I don't think that we ever left the bull market, but it's just a bull market correction. So sometimes there's bear activity in a bull market, but that's just a setup for you to bounce back and be stronger, right? So this is about to be one of the best buying opportunities. And again, this is not financial advice. If you have extra dry powder, by all means, jump in. If not, do your research and have that conviction. So when you do have that dry powder, you know what you're jumping into. Everyone's waiting for QE, quantitative easing. And right now we're in quantitative tightening. But Trump, as well as Jerome Powell, hinted that quantitative tightening might be ending soon. And that means that the money printers are about to get turned back on. Joe Besant also talked about, privatizing the markets and not giving so much government, not doing so much government spending and allowing the private sector to run the economy. He's also talking about banks being more lenient on lending money to small businesses with the thought that if we allow these businesses to get more funding, easier money, cheaper money, that will stimulate the economy, right? We also got the M2 money supply. The M2 money supply is lining up perfectly with everything that's about to happen. So liquidity is coming to the market. Zeneca said it best. He said something that I actually agree with. If everyone is waiting for QE, and if we're expecting QE, quantitative easing, to happen, wouldn't it make sense to front run it and jump in now? And I agree with him. It makes sense to front run it instead of jumping in when everyone is jumping in and following the herd. Because once everyone is talking about it, eventually we're going to take another dip. So you want to be on the way up, at the bottom of the roller coaster going up, not when we're at the tippity top. Because what happens after that? We drop and we free fall, right? Doesn't mean that we're not going to come back up, but you want to be riding up, possibly take some profits, come down, purchase some more, go back up. In other words, we already have hints. Again, like I said, we already have hints. The Fed Chairman Powell, as well as Trump, said that they'll be easing, and ultimately they want the same results between slashing rates and lowering inflation. Then it would make sense to jump into risk assets now to enjoy the pump, right? And once it starts, essentially front running everyone else that will be jumping in as it's going up. In my opinion, this isn't financial advice, but I believe it's the perfect time to start positioning your stable coins into the top 2 crypto projects in some of the biggest narratives. And, start planting your seeds in the top players from the narratives or niches that you're researching. As far as what I got my eye on, I've pretty much narrowed it down to, my main focus, which is layer 1 blockchains, which is like Solana, Sui, Avalanche. You got RWA, which is real world assets, something like Ondo Finance. Even Avalanche is a good RWA project. Then we got AI projects, artificial intelligence. As you know, that is changing the game, not only in cryptocurrency, but in traditional finance as well. And then we have gaming, which I think is going to be that killer app that's going to bring the masses to cryptocurrency. And then last but not least, a few meme coins here and there. Not getting too crazy with the meme coins, but it's always good to have some exposure. Now, just looking back at the history of gaming projects and their pumps, you would see that usually the pumps begin when we have a major market downturn. GameFi, which is the financial side of crypto gaming, is always active. Whether the market is in a bull or if the market is in a bear trend, people are still playing games. They're not going to stop playing games. And one of the most popular games that's getting a lot of traction is Off the Grid. Off the Grid has 234 active wallets in just one day and 1.57 million incoming transactions. That's insane. And with that said, the number 1 project I would be DCA and a dollar cost averaging, and again, this is not financial advice, is Avalanche, because Off the Grid is on the Avalanche blockchain. So AVAX has a lot of things going for it. Everything is going good for AVAX right now. And if we look between the lines and not just gaming, in RWA as well, BlackRock is building with Avalanche as well. And their AUM just reached $50 million. So we're seeing a lot of adoption on Avalanche. The other day, we just seen Off the Grid Pro Pack sell for $3.5K, $3,000. And that's a game asset, an in-game asset. And that's sold over the counter, And, an Off the Grid player recently sold one of his in-game assets for $400. So there's money being made. And that's not the only game where money is being made. You got Maple Story, Raven Quest, DeFi Kingdoms. There's a lot of different crypto games where people are transacting, people are adding money to the space, and all this is on chain, on the blockchain, right? Now, despite the market going down, as I said, people are still going to play games, and they still are going to try to figure out a way to make some money. And that's why GameFi projects thrive in conditions like this. Now, again, speaking of BlackRock, BlackRock is not only selling Bitcoin ETFs and talking about Bitcoin all day, but they're also building with Avalanche. And Avalanche is a cryptocurrency that I believe you should have on your radar. Now, when it comes to real world assets, another real world asset play is Ondo Finance. BlackRock is also working with Ondo Finance, and Ondo Finance is changing the game as far as real world assets and cryptocurrency is concerned. Ondo Finance is revolutionizing real world assets, tokenization, enhancing traditional finances, integration with blockchain technology. So the future is on chain. Larry Fink said it himself that the future is on chain. Kevin O'Leary said it himself that the next sector of the stock market is cryptocurrency assets. XRP is making headway and working with a lot of financial institutions. It was just announced that American Express is partnering with XRP as well. You got Avalanche that just partnered with one of the major credit card companies to distribute a debit card. Then we have Solana that's going to be working with Visa and MasterCard to introduce a credit card as well. And these aren't the first credit cards or debit cards that's been introduced to the market. One of the OG players is Crypto.com with their debit card. You got Gemini Exchange. They have a credit card with Goldman Sachs, which gives you rewards in Bitcoin, Ethereum, or even Dogecoin. Then you got the Fold credit card, which is also giving people rewards in cryptocurrency. So fintech, financial technology, is the revolution. The merger between blockchain, traditional finance is inevitable. We can't stop it. So RWA, real world assets, is a category that you should be paying attention to. And real world assets doesn't only include stocks, it includes art, it includes homes, it includes, historic cars. All that stuff is going to be minted on a blockchain at some point, right? Now, tokenization is going to allow for more people to have access to invest. It's going to allow for fractionalization of really large assets so more people can get a piece of the pie. It's all about the community. Community is usually what drives anything. If we could add that community mindset into traditional finance, if we can add the transparency of the blockchain to traditional finance, everything is going to change, and everything is changing right in front of our eyes. So make sure you do your research on Avalanche. Make sure you do your research on Ondo Finance. Pay attention to layer one blockchains like Solana and Sui. Pay attention to gaming platforms like Prime. Echelon Prime is a really dope gaming platform you should pay attention to. And there's a lot of AI projects out there as well, like, super artificial intelligence. You got Destra Network, Palm AI. There's so many. I could just keep naming them for days, right? Again, this is not financial advice. This is just me giving you some news, some wisdom, and some info for your head top. So again, it's your boy Dre La Soul here with another Crypto Rants, and we out.